Hi everyone, welcome to Romance Stories. Before watching the video, please give me a like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Waking up in the middle of the night, I felt someone lying on top of me, soft skin, smooth legs. I gave her a shove, but she pinned my hands down and forced me back onto the bed, kissing me aggressively. Damn it, is she for real? I gave another forceful push, tossing her aside. But in her drunken stupor, she lunged at me again. She started pulling her pants down, completely unrecognizable. Wait a minute. I stood up and splashed a glass of cold water directly in her face. Are you awake? Who even are you? One night. I'm a little duck, she mumbled. What duck? Duck my foot. I'm just a guy who just got dumped. My ex-girlfriend, Luna, and I shared similar backgrounds, both from the countryside, chasing artistic dreams in the capital's entertainment industry. But Luna was beautiful. After just a few minor roles, she caught a director's eye. With the right backing, she landed a supporting role and shot to fame overnight. She signed with a company owned by director Lowell, officially making her debut. That film earned her the Best Supporting Actress award. As she received her trophy, my congratulatory text and her breakup message arrived on our phones at the exact same time. Later, I saw news reports of her entering and leaving director Lowell's apartment, who happened to be her boss. The moment she reached the shore of success, she cut ties with her first love. It was clear she had cheated. She had discarded her childhood sweetheart without a second thought. Tonight, I intended to drown my sorrows in booze. But before I could drink my fill, I noticed a cold, distant-looking woman who was clearly drunk and being targeted. Two burly men were circling her, staring like hungry wolves calculating how to tear their prey apart. I sobered up instantly, grabbed my glass, and walked over to clink it against hers. Let me take you home. People are watching you. I'm fine. The girl slurred, her eyes glazed over. She was likely seeing two of me. I pulled her up and guided her outside. The two men frowned, moving to block my path, but I shook them off with a few quick maneuvers. Hotel. Huh. I'm a regular there, she babbled incoherently. The taxi driver shot me a suspicious look through the rearview mirror. We got into the room. Door closed, window locked, all in one smooth motion. I held her flailing hands firmly and tossed her onto the large bed. Perhaps due to the rough movement, she ended up vomiting all over me. Right as I was busy cleaning up the mess, my phone rang. It was my landlord. Leo, I can't rent that place to you anymore. I'm giving you 3 days. Pack your things and get out. He didn't even bother explaining the breach of contract before hanging up in a hurry, as if he were being chased by a ghost. This was the apartment Luna and I had rented together. After she signed with the agency, she moved out immediately, claiming it was for her training schedule. Thinking back, I finally realized the truth. It was just more convenient for her tryst with director Lowell. My head had long since become a lush green field of betrayal, green enough to rival the vast African savanna. The girl from the bar kept causing a scene until the middle of the night. After cleaning up after her, I was so exhausted that I collapsed and fell asleep right there. In the middle of the night, I woke up to find her lying on top of me. Her skin was soft and burning hot, unbearable to the touch. I gave her a shove, but she pinned me down, forced me back onto the mattress, and kissed me aggressively. Damn it, does she really want to play? I delivered a powerful push, tossing her aside. But in her drunken state, she clung to me like glue. Even after I managed to get her clothes back on, she still had no clue who was who. I stood up and splashed a cold glass of water in her face. Are you awake yet? Who are you? 500 night. I'm a little duck, she mumbled. What duck? Duck my foot. When dawn broke, I threw $200 on the nightstand and stormed out in a rage. I thought that losing my home in 3 days was the absolute rock bottom of my life. I had no idea that my bad luck was just getting started. While busy searching for a new place, I suddenly realized I was being kicked out of every single background actor group chat. Even my requests to join new ones were being rejected. To top it off, a role I had booked for tomorrow was abruptly canceled by the casting coordinator. Confused, I called Ms. Jean, a coordinator at the studio. She sounded hesitant on the phone. Look, Leo, it's not that I don't want to help you, but word came down from the top. We aren't allowed to hire you anymore. If she doesn't let this go, your acting career is effectively over here. Don't make it hard on me. I'm just an employee. I have to follow orders to survive. At this point, there was nothing left to wonder about. It was clear she was making a preemptive strike. Using her connection with director Lowell, she wanted to drive me out of the Beijing scene entirely. I couldn't just sit here and wait to die. Therefore, the next morning, after asking some friends to help me find a new place, I headed straight to the artist coordination office at the studio, burning with determination. But it was a wasted trip. Ms. Jean knew my personality well enough to know I'd demand answers, so she had disappeared early in the morning. The studio was bustling with people coming and going, yet not a single film crew was willing to take me on. My acquaintance, a young assistant named Victor, saw my desperate situation and couldn't bear to see me ruined. He quietly handed me a casting call. The film was titled Frozen Surface, directed by director Vincent, who was rumored to come from a very prestigious background. In this industry, most people wouldn't dare disrespect him. Immediately, my spirits lifted. No one dared to arbitrarily fire actors from Vincent production. Even if director Lowell showed up in person, Vincent wouldn't necessarily give him the time of day. I couldn't miss a golden opportunity like this. I gave Victor a quick nod of thanks, gripped the notice tightly, and ran straight to the registration point. Fortunately, as a longtime actor, I was used to carrying my portfolio with me. Relying on my years of experience, grinding in the industry, I easily passed the preliminary screening for a supporting role in Frozen Surface. This film had an incredibly powerful production team. Most lead roles were already cast, so this round was only for supporting characters or background actors with scenes alongside the leads. More importantly, the film was slated for international award submissions once finished. This was a once-in-a-lifetime chance. While waiting, the assistants handed each of us a few pages of the script. Per the director's request, we would be randomly assigned a scene to perform. Usually, these are just random snippets, not necessarily from the actual film. However, after carefully observing the concept posters and the sets being built, I was certain these were pages from the original script. I started to feel a spark of confidence. But just as the actors were rehearsing their lines, the crowd suddenly grew rowdy. It was Luna. She marched in ostentatiously with a large entourage. What is she doing here? Probably competing for a role. Is she actually auditioning with us? Don't be stupid. She's clearly here to use the back door. Two minor actors whispered nearby. I tried to hide at the back of the crowd, hoping she wouldn't notice me. But I soon realized I was overthinking it. Luna was as arrogant as a magnificent peacock, strutting in sky-high heels and dark sunglasses. It was as if everyone else there wasn't even worth her bother. She strode right past us without so much as a glance. However, her grand entrance didn't hold the crowd's attention for long because, shortly after, the auditions officially began. By the luck of the draw, I was number 38, placed somewhere in the middle of the list. Not long after the first group of 10 entered the room, a stranger, an assistant, approached me. "Leo, Victor is looking for you." In that instant, every eye in the room fixed on me, though they quickly shifted back to a mask of indifference. Did they think I was using the back door? I could clearly see the ridicule in their eyes. They probably thought I was some clueless fool, recklessly trying to mess with a man as formidable as Vincent. I could only manage a wry smile as I followed the assistant out of the waiting area. The Victor he mentioned must have been my friend. Since Luna was actively trying to crush me, perhaps he felt sorry for me and wanted to give me a heads up about something. I followed the assistant through a labyrinth of twisting corridors until we reached an anonymous, secluded corner of the studio building. He opened a door and said, "Wait in here. Victor will find a way to dodge her eyes and come meet you." There was no need to ask who her referred to. Was it possible that after hooking up with director Lowell, Luna had gained enough power to rule the entire studio with an iron fist? I thanked the assistant and stepped inside, though doubt lingered in my mind. My audition time was approaching fast. If this wasn't something critical, and if Luna truly held that much sway, Victor shouldn't be risking a confrontation with her for my sake. The assistant's lips curled into a strange, subtle smirk. "Just be patient and wait." The moment he finished speaking, the door slammed shut. As the minutes ticked by, I stared at my watch, overcome with restless anxiety. Outside, it was deathly quiet, as if no one ever set foot in this part of the building. Recalling the assistant's mocking and contemptuous expression, I instinctively rushed to the door and yanked on the handle. It didn't budge. It had been locked from the outside. Time continued to slip away. I was supposed to be at the audition room, ready to step up, but instead, I was intentionally trapped in a strange room. I silently cursed the person behind this with every foul thought I could muster while frantically searching for an escape. Meanwhile, The auditions for Frozen Surface were in full swing. Those exiting the room carried a mix of expressions: joy, disappointment, or sheer excitement. "Ms. Luna, it's done," the strange assistant whispered, leaning in close to her. Luna gave a slight nod, then turned back to share a knowing smile with her manager. In reality, she had spotted me in the crowd the moment she walked in. The reason was simple. My looks and height were just too striking to ignore. If she hadn't exploited her relationship with director Lowell to swap the gender of several roles in the script back then, I would have been the one shooting to stardom, not her. Someone once said that I was a brilliant gem covered in dust, waiting for the day to shine. But Luna didn't see it that way. She was determined never to let me take the stage, nor would she ever give me the chance to expose what she had done. Next, number 38. The backstage coordinator called my name. Silence filled the waiting room. "Is number 38 here?" A look of pure triumph washed over Luna's face. "What's going on? Why would someone miss such an important occasion? It's quite disrespectful to the director and producers. This person must not want to stay in this industry anymore." The other actors began to whisper and gossip. Luna smirked and spoke up. "Perhaps we should just move on. The director and producers are busy. They can't wait forever." "Wait!" I stumbled into the waiting room, limping, my clothes tattered and torn. I looked like I had just crawled out of a pile of rubble. "I'm number 38. I raised my hand, waving at Luna, whose face had turned pale with shock. "What on earth happened to you?" the coordinator asked, frowning in confusion. "I was just trying to organize my thoughts and visualize the story setting," I explained. "I thought a trial run might help me score points." I went on to explain that the setting of Frozen Surface likely took place during the volatile late Republic era. The few script pages in my hand were filled with dialogue set amidst the smoke of artillery. An unkempt, disheveled look like this would help the audience immerse themselves in the role and convey the bitterness of a supporting character. In truth, I had just climbed out of a window and slid down a drain pipe to escape that locked room. Looking like a wreck was unavoidable. "Staff, this man arrived late." Luna barked, clearly incensed. She deliberately tried to provoke the staff into disqualifying me. I clenched my fists, ignoring the stinging pain in my scratched palms, and put on a look of utter misery. "Ms. Luna, we're from the same hometown. Do you really have to be this heartless and drive me to a dead end?" I knew exactly what she feared, so I intentionally played my trump card. The more she wanted to wash her hands of me, the more I had to bind our relationship together in front of everyone. Hometown friends, even childhood sweethearts, we grew up together. It was best to let everyone think she was closely connected to me. Before she dared to strike again, she would have to carefully weigh the backlash of betraying someone so close to her. Public opinion is a cruel judge. Sure enough, Luna's face turned as black as soot. She never expected that I would be shameless enough to go public with our past. Since the coordinator had officially called my name, I wasn't considered late, so I walked in. As the tension between Luna and me reached a breaking point, a voice from the audition panel cut through the air. It was Vincent, the director of Frozen Surface. Sitting beside him was a stunning, elegant woman. Both were watching me intently. She looked incredibly familiar, but I didn't dare stare. Luna didn't have the guts to offend the head director, so she lowered her head and took her seat. When I was finally called up, I took a deep breath and immersed myself in the character instantly. Amidst the sound of imaginary artillery, I dragged my crippled leg, step by step, through the ruins, searching for something. Suddenly, my body shuddered as if I had seen something horrific, a scrap of cloth, stained with blood and remnants of flesh. My skin turned ice cold. I collapsed helplessly to the ground, unable to move. The lights faded. There were no screams, no loud wailing. Only silent tears and a painful, slow descent into unconsciousness. After a moment, a staff member nudged me. "All right, next, number 39. I quickly snapped out of it and stood up. From below the stage, a pair of long, slender hands reached out. "A very fine performance. You truly made us feel the scene." I looked at the owner of those hands and realized she was the woman sitting next to Vincent. Now I recognized her. She was the woman from the hotel who had mistaken me for a duck service worker. Luna was still glaring at me from the stands. "Thank you," I said softly, taking her hand briefly before jumping off the stage. "You're injured. Let me help you with that," she said curtly, gesturing for me to follow. My mind raced, and I made a quick decision. Fine. Temptation is human nature. If Luna can use her looks, so can I. She wants to drive me into a corner, but she's not guaranteed to win. After recklessly jumping from the third floor and walking into that audition room under the strange stares of the crowd, I had thought it through. For her dream of stardom, Luna easily severed years of our relationship and befriended director Lowell, a man old enough to be her father. Why shouldn't I strike back? I want her to regret pushing me away. I want her to regret throwing me away. At that thought, I allowed a smile to spread across my face. I looked at the woman carefully cleaning my wound and gave her a charming grin. She looked at me with a flicker of amusement. I'm just helping out. Don't go blaming me for anything. Suddenly, it felt like a bucket of ice water had been dumped over my head, snapping me back to reality. I recalled our unpleasant encounters. That $200 I left behind was a response to her insult, but it was also a way to ensure she'd never forget me. Kid, if you want to enter this industry, you can't just rely on connections. She leaned back in her chair, her voice lazy yet undeniably seductive. You have potential, but don't think you can just take shortcuts. If your foundation isn't solid, you'll only crumble once you reach the top. My face flushed deep red. She had seen right through every single one of my thoughts. The wave of shame made it impossible for me to lift my head. I stayed that way until an assistant announced that I had moved on to the next round. Are you close with the Lowell family? The young assistant asked curiously, before answering her own question with certainty. Then you'll definitely get a role, whether it's big or small. I'm not, I replied, but my answer seemed to fall on deaf ears. She began explaining the Lowell family's dominance in the Beijing entertainment industry, recounting legendary tales about the woman I had just encountered. While I waited in the lounge, I noticed that Luna had slipped away at some point. Neither she nor the woman named Elena was anywhere to be found. Like ghosts, they came and went, leaving behind nothing but rumors that I had secured my spot through the back door. After several rounds of selection, I officially joined the cast. I was cast as the fourth male lead, a role with just enough screen time to make an impression. The night before filming began, I received a call from an unknown number. Even though the cameras haven't rolled yet, you're already famous, a familiar, slightly tipsy voice said. I froze, not quite grasping what she meant. She giggled on the other end. It seems you haven't seen the hot topics yet. A sense of dread washed over me. I hurried on a Weibo. Luna, beautiful and kind, a drop of kindness returned with a spring of gratitude. The bond of leaving the mountain village together. Several trending topics were dominating the charts. Luna had been cast as a supporting actress in Frozen Surface. Before filming even started, she had released several ambiguous interviews, leaking our status as former neighbors. She skillfully crafted an image of herself as a mentor willing to help newcomers, rewriting the narrative to suggest that she was the one who secured my role, the very role I had bled and climbed through windows to earn. She was brilliant, really. She had already planted the seed in the public's mind that we were merely childhood friends from the same village. No matter how I might try to explain our real past later, people would just see me as a leech trying to cling to her fame. I didn't want my career to be strangled before it even took its first breath. Is there an interview during the opening ceremony? I asked bluntly. Given a mysterious woman's relationship with Vincent, she was at least an investor, so I didn't hesitate to go straight to the point. Oh, what are you planning to do? Tell the truth. I'll answer everything honestly. The other end went silent for a moment, followed by the sound of light snoring. I checked my screen in disbelief. The call was still active. Hello. I took a sip of water. You really are something special, she murmured. For the sake of that $200 you left, how about I just sponsor you myself? Her voice was hazy, but she was clearly expressing her intent to keep me as her pet. What? I was so shocked that the water in my mouth sprayed out like a fountain. Didn't you just say that one has to rely on ability to stand firm in this industry? Damn it. I was starting to lose faith in this person's principles. That's life, she continued shamelessly. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with being a leech. We'll talk about the details later. I hung up immediately. The opening ceremony arrived. Luna was dressed glamorously, looking like she wanted to steal every bit of the spotlight from a female lead. After the ceremony, as expected, a reporter asked about the recent rumors regarding her helping me. I've heard people talking about it. Luna said, feigning modesty and covering her mouth with a scripted giggle. Leo and I are actually from the same hometown, but he really did pass the official auditions on his own. Her evasive way of speaking actually made the backdoor rumors even more glaringly obvious. I snatched the microphone from a junior reporter and cleared my throat. Ms. Luna must have a short memory. You deleted me from your contacts a long time ago. How could you possibly have helped me? I took out my phone, which I had prepared in advance, and held it up for everyone to see the giant red exclamation mark I had received the last time I tried to message her. If it were possible to just insert people into a Vincent production, then I'd have to suspect that Ms. Luna's role was also obtained through the back door. The makeup and styling for the second female lead are more intricate than the leads, and the script has been mangled with constant last-minute additions during filming. I looked her dead in the eye. Ms. Luna, you really are leaning on a very large tree, aren't you? In the days leading up to the start of principal photography, director Vincent was tied up with other business. Frozen Surface was led by the assistant director for the first few days. Luna seized the opportunity to add lines and scenes for herself, even forcing the female lead to give up her better outfits. The entire crew was already drowning in complaints. When Vincent finally appeared on set for the first time, he only gave me a cold, fleeting glance. His eyes were icy, his lips pressed thin, and he didn't say a word. It was strange. Given Vincent's reputation, he should have called an immediate halt to investigate the chaos. Had he suddenly changed his personality? Luna's face turned ashen with rage. The set manager hurried to usher the reporters away before she could say another word. You're quite something, Luna hissed at me during a scene transition, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Day one of filming, and you've already dragged our crew onto the trending charts. Bad publicity is still publicity, I replied. You should be thanking me. I didn't bother showing her any respect and replied coldly. Just you wait and see. Vincent stood not far away, arms crossed, watching us. Luna didn't dare make a scene. She could only drop a threat before stomping off. I felt uneasy under director Vincent's gaze and lowered my head, slipping away. It didn't take long for me to understand what Luna meant by wait and see. On the last day of the first week, after filming wrapped, the set manager informed me that the crew would have a gathering tonight. Besides the lead actors, director Vincent had specifically called my name to attend. Since I had no manager or assistant, I hitched a ride with the crew's van to the hotel. When I arrived, the room wasn't full yet, and there were many empty seats at the large round table. Tonight, the producer is bringing the investors, along with a few other important figures, said the assistant sitting next to me. She looked familiar. Seeing my confusion, she quickly introduced herself. Hello. I didn't get a chance to introduce myself last time. I'm the screenwriter, Sloan. She smiled and reached out for a handshake. As it turned out, the person who had explained the crew's power dynamics to me before was actually the writer of Frozen Surface. But rumor had it that today's banquet was specifically arranged to apologize to someone. Sloane's eyes flickered with sympathy as she looked at me. An apology banquet? I immediately felt a chill. My intuition told me something was wrong, and my eyelid began to twitch uncontrollably. When Luna walked through the door, arm in arm with director Lowell, my eyelid twitched even harder. Seeing her smug, triumphant expression, my heart sank as if falling into an ice pit. My gut feeling had never failed me. Sure enough, the moment she sat down, Luna began to make things difficult for me. It's a reconciliation party, after all. If you apologize to me with total sincerity, I'll forgive you. I was so incensed I couldn't hold back. My girlfriend doesn't like me talking to stray cats and dogs, I blurted out. Luna's face turned black, but a second later, she put on a facade of being aggrieved. She clung to Lowell's arm, her voice shrill and whiny. Look at him, honey. This is exactly how he is. He humiliates me right in front of everyone. Her voice was so piercing and theatrical it nearly made me nauseous. I felt a deep sense of shame for ever failing to see through her character in the past. Around us, there was no shortage of people who enjoyed a good drama. Someone quickly chimed in to ask, so, who exactly is your girlfriend? I blinked, recalling the rumors I'd heard about the powerful Lowell family. Without hesitation, I pulled a name out of thin air. It's Elena Lowell. The room instantly fell into a dead silence. Hearing the name I had just uttered, everyone exchanged looks, their expressions caught between wanting to laugh and being too terrified to do so. Luna let out a mocking sneer. Say that again. Oh, who is your girlfriend? Elena Lowell. I repeated, enunciating every single syllable slowly. Did you hear me clearly? Right at that moment, a soft female voice floated over from a corner of the private room. Elena Lowell, you say? My body stiffened. I'm dead. Why didn't anyone tell me that the matriarch of the Lowell family was actually present in this room? I turned my head stiffly, catching sight of Vincent walking past a woman. His lips were twitching. He was clearly fighting back a laugh. Sloane, sitting nearby, looked both thrilled and distorted with suppressed excitement, her bright eyes darting back and forth between me and Vincent. Luna burst out laughing. Your lie just got exposed, didn't it? Ms. Lowell, this man is impersonating your boyfriend. He even had the nerve to insult a cast member of Frozen Surface in public. For the sake of the crew's peace, I don't think someone like him is fit to stay. She clung even tighter to Director Lowell's arm, leaning in intimately. Meanwhile, Elena followed Vincent to the table. She chose the center seat, leaving an empty chair right next to her. Completely ignoring Luna, she turned to me and spoke at a measured pace. Well, do I need to invite you personally? Luna's face turned pale, her smug expression vanishing instantly. Director Lowell, sensing the tide had turned, quickly shook her hand off his arm. Elena was helping me. My body moved faster than my mind could process the situation. Before I knew it, I was obediently sitting right next to her. Everyone present was an old fox in the industry. Seeing that Elena didn't deny my claim of being her boyfriend, they immediately raised their glasses to apologize. So, it's Ms. Lowell's boyfriend. We almost failed to recognize our own family here. Right. We should be penalized with a drink. Director Lowell stood up with a fawning smile. He nudged Luna, signaling her to apologize. Luna, you really have no eyes. To think you offended Ms. Lowell's boyfriend. Apologize now. Luna reluctantly mumbled a few words under her breath and raised her glass toward me. What was that? I couldn't hear you, I said, widening my eyes almost to the point of rolling them back. This is an apology banquet, right? If you apologize to me with total sincerity, I'll forgive you. I threw her own words back at her, verbatim. Don't take it too far. Luna was so furious her eyes turned red. Thud! She slammed her glass onto the table and pointed a finger at my face, about to scream. Girlfriend, look at her. Mimicking Luna's earlier act, I grabbed Elena's hand, leaned my head on her shoulder, and spoke in a long, whiny, pampered drawl. She keeps bullying your boyfriend like that. My voice was warped and whiny, but this time it didn't make me want to vomit. Seeing the look of pure humiliation on Luna's face, I just wanted to burst out laughing. Luna stood frozen. Vincent couldn't help himself and burst into laughter, breaking the awkward silence. Just like you said, he really is quite interesting. I'd been so immersed in the act that I almost forgot to check Elena's reaction. Fortunately, there wasn't a hint of dissatisfaction on her face. This banquet wasn't for you to come and watch a play, Elena said coldly, glancing at Vincent. Vincent cleared his throat. Director Lowell, I was the one who agreed to let you bring that person into the crew. However, she only has herself to blame for not working hard. As you can see, for the sake of the crew's stability, someone like her is not fit to stay. Under the combined pressure of both Vincent and Elena, cold sweat poured down Director Lowell's forehead. Although he was a director with some reputation, he was nothing compared to Vincent, who had a solid standing in Beijing, or Elena, a genius in the business world. There were no words to describe Luna's face other than turning as pale as a ghost. Being personally kicked off a set by Vincent, one could only imagine how difficult it would be for her to land roles in the future. After all, who would dare hire an actor who was like an unpredictable ticking time bomb? Luna was half pulled, half dragged out of the private room by Director Lowell. Without her nuisance, the atmosphere of the banquet immediately became more harmonious. While everyone was raising their glasses, I stole a few glances at Elena and noticed a faint, gentle smile always playing on her lips. After the party, I followed Elena to her car. She seemed to have had one too many drinks and looked exhausted. As soon as she got in, she leaned her head back against the seat and drifted off to sleep. The driver didn't ask any questions and drove directly to Elena's residential area. I didn't dare touch her. I simply signaled the driver to turn up the heat and sat there waiting for her to wake up. It wasn't until my phone battery was nearly drained that Elena frowned and slowly woke up. "You haven't left yet?" She seemed surprised to see me still there. "Haven't adjusted to the time zone yet. I'm a bit tired." That was likely her explanation for falling asleep. "What time is it?" she asked, stretching her arms. "You helped me today. I want to repay you." After a moment of mental struggle, I decided to let Elena decide whether I should stay or go. Her movements stiffened, and her eyes filled with shock as she looked at me. "Are you sick, or am I?" She seemed angry. Opening the car door, she kicked me out. "Get lost. You're an eyesore," Elena added irritably. "What a waste of time flying back here just to see you." "Fine, now I know." That day she boldly claimed she wanted to sponsor me. She must have definitely had one too many drinks again. The next day, news of the replacement for the second female lead in Frozen Surface quickly climbed the trending charts. However, the substitute actress arrived on set incredibly fast. It was so fast that I began to suspect Vincent had been prepared for this all along. Regardless, Vincent was truly a capable director. Under his guidance, even as a fourth-tier supporting actor, I learned a tremendous amount. His interest in me wasn't just lip service. It was reflected in concrete actions, specifically constantly yelling at me and forcing me to perform all my own stunts, strictly forbidding any body doubles. Even the background actors looked at me with pitying eyes. See, even if you get into a Vincent film through the back door, it's no walk in the park. But he never complains about the hardship or fatigue. Maybe he actually has real talent. But all the actors Luna brought in were kicked out. How is he still here? Who knows? Let's wait and see. While I was quietly grinding and giving my all in every scene, the extras and the photography crew inadvertently cleared up the backdoor rumors for me. When I saw the news trending, I finally understood Vincent's good intentions. One evening, after a night shoot when no one was looking, I tracked down Vincent to thank him. "Are you blind?" He laughed mockingly. "The person Elena chooses is never wrong. I trusted you, and it wasn't a waste of our time planning that set up to help you deal with that woman." "A setup?" I was stunned. "You didn't think everything that happened at that banquet was a coincidence, did you?" This time, it was Vincent's turn to look surprised. "Look, whatever is going on between you two, you should hear the truth from Elena's own mouth. But as a friend, I have to say a few fair words on her behalf." Vincent patted my shoulder seriously. "Elena has been looking for you for a long time. She truly cares about you. For your sake, she specifically rearranged her schedule to fly back from abroad just to protect you." I was speechless. Right at that moment, Elena stepped in from outside. "He's right," she said. "I owed you from the past, and you owed me. And that time you saw me drunk, that was the same. All that was staged?" I stuttered. "Is that so impossible?" Elena stopped abruptly, her sharp gaze seemingly piercing through my very soul. I swallowed hard, suddenly struck by a bad omen. "Do you really think I would go to a bar to drink alone without any protection?" I froze. "What do you mean?" "I was only tipsy," she said coolly, "but I was completely conscious." Elena crossed her arms over her chest, arching an eyebrow at me. "Those guys were indeed arranged by me. Otherwise, how else could I test if you were truly the man I remembered?" "What?" I blurted out, completely blindsided. "Because I remembered how much you love playing the hero, I intentionally staged that situation. And as it turns out, you didn't disappoint me." I glared at her, feeling a mix of anger and helplessness. "So, you've been playing me for a fool this whole time?" "You could say that." Elena's lips curled into a faint, subtle smile. "But I'm also very happy to find that you haven't changed a bit. 10 years ago, you saved me by the riverbank. 10 years later, you didn't hesitate to protect a stranger." I sighed. Being completely exposed by Elena left me not knowing whether to laugh or cry. "Fine. Do you have any more tests for me? If not, can I leave now?" "Planning to leave?" Elena raised an eyebrow, her gaze flickering with a playful yet inscrutable light. "Do you really think I'd let you walk away that easily? Then what else do you want?" I asked, defeated. She stood up slowly and stepped closer to me. Her deep eyes seemed to pierce through my every thought. "I want to see if you have the courage to face me this time. Or will you turn and run again, just like you did 10 years ago?" I stood there dazed, unable to find an answer. In that moment, I realized that perhaps over the last decade, she hadn't just been searching for me because of the debt of a ruined sketchbook, but for something far deeper. But did I have the courage to face it? That question swirled in my mind without an answer. After the editing for Frozen Surface was completed, Elena and I were invited as the very first audience members to review the trial screening. In the projection room, Elena clutched my sleeve, sobbing until her face was a mess of tears. It was the first time I had ever seen a powerful woman like her show such a sentimental and tender side. Although she wouldn't admit it, I knew her heart had been deeply moved by the story on screen. Later, the film was submitted by Vincent to international film festivals and brought home a major award. As a minor supporting actor, I enjoyed a surge in fame, and film offers began to pour in. Vincent signed me to the entertainment company he and Elena co-founded and even set up a private studio just for me. Under their arrangement, I gained a manager, an assistant, and a private driver. However, amidst the glitz and glamour of the industry, Elena always emphasized that slow and steady was the only way to stand firm. Thus, under her guidance, I started with supporting roles and constantly challenged myself with new character types, refusing to stay within my comfort zone. Elena often said that to succeed in this profession, one must constantly push their own limits. Whether in acting or business, the essence is the same. Do every small step well and accumulate progress bit by bit. By the time Elena said those words, she and I were already officially together. As her serious boyfriend, serious enough to be planning our future marriage. Our relationship became the subject of endless speculation both inside and outside the industry. Especially after Luna retreated from the limelight, the story of that infamous banquet was brought up and dissected countless times. However, the one thing everyone had to concede was that I didn't rely on connections to secure resources or roles. The reason was simple. I had true merit. I didn't just perform the roles I was given. I gradually proved myself to be an actor of genuine substance. With a string of unforgettable performances and growing critical acclaim, the year I finally won the award for Best Lead Actor, I proposed to Elena. On our wedding day, she invited the woman who had been that chubby little girl from years ago to stand as a witness. She looked at me and said, "You own me, and you have to pay me back for the rest of your life." I replied with a smile, "I'll spend my entire life making it up to you." The story ends here. A sweet, gentle story. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.